I'm joined now by one of those Democrats, Congressman from Maryland, Glenn Ivey. Congressman, welcome, sir. And I know you were on the very powerful Appropriations Committee, which is tasked with regulating government spending. But it appears that Elon Musk and his Doge department have stepped in to take on some of that job. The president said yesterday his work is going to lead to a nearly balanced budget for the first time in years. Is this actually maybe just temporary pain for a long-term gain? I'm curious your take on Musk's role.
Doesn't appear to be. It looks more like a wrecking ball, kind of a plow type of approach as opposed to something surgical that would reduce the deficit. Bill Clinton, I believe, was the last president to balance the budget, and he didn't do anything, remotely looking like this. I think this is more of an effort to really tear down the government, attack federal government workers, create big distractions from his ultimate goal, which is to try and extend the $4 trillion tax increase that lies at the heart of their agenda for this second term of his, and to so-called attack on the deep state.
You mentioned those federal workers, and in fact, your district sits next to Washington, D.C. You have thousands of federal workers who live in your district. I know you joined the protest this week over what you call President Trump's attack on the federal workforce. You held a town hall with federal workers. What are your constituents telling you about the impact of all this?
Well, I mean, they're very concerned, very confused. The quote unquote buyout offer was really misleading in a variety of ways. And so a lot of them just didn't understand what was actually on the table or how it might impact them. For those of you that don't know, he basically was telling federal employees to resign but still get paid for the next 6 to 8 months. I don't think he's got the authority to do that. Sounds like it's illegal as well, because that's like the Sopranos have no-show jobs, but the federal government doesn't. And also there's a question about whether, if Trump reneges on the deal, which is his modus operandi, whether they'd be able to enforce the agreement. And I don't think there's a provision in there that allows it. So it's a bad deal all the way around for federal government workers.
So as these executive orders take effect, we're not seeing widespread protests in the streets, leaving pushback for the courts and Capitol Hill to do it. What does the Democrats' playbook look like? How do you prioritize your efforts right now?
Well, the courts have been tremendously effective. I mean, I think, for example, if that effort to cut off all federal funding across the board that he tried to do, I guess that was like a week and a half ago, if that had actually stood and moved forward, you would have seen people losing their minds, because that's cutting Title I. That's teachers in classrooms. That's, Meals on Wheels. That's child care. I mean, all across the board, assistance for veterans, potentially even, depending on how the cuts were done, TSA and Border Patrol. It was just a nutty thing to do. But then an injunction was put in place, and it's been extended. So, we've avoided that level of disruption. But I think as long as we can continue to have these injunctions go into place and hopefully stay in place, we can work this out in a way that's consistent with the law and the Constitution, as opposed to his approach, which is, sort of a bull in a china shop approach.
Can I ask what you're hearing from your Republican colleagues, maybe on the QT, about Musk's influence in Donald Trump's directives? Are they privately expressing concern?
They've been fairly quiet publicly, for sure. And I do know there's some on the hot seat, though. I think there's about 20 seats that Republicans won, but Harris got more votes, in November than Trump did. And so, we're putting them in the crosshairs, frankly, of the political campaign coming up in 2024. And I think that's 2026, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. And I think that could be very effective. Also, you might see independent expenditures that are run to, raise this so that their voters know that, they may be in support of these sorts of efforts. But so far, they haven't really had to vote on much of this so far. So they've been trying to lay low and avoid being held accountable for it. But that day is going to come. And so I think they're going to have to make a decision. We only need 3 to move because it's a 217 to 215 margin. If we get those numbers, we can beat back a lot of these efforts.
Okay, Congressman Glenn Ivey, thank you so much, sir.